welcome to the Writing Scholarship PowerPoint. My name is Emily Roberts Parker. I'm one of the writing tutors here at the Tutoring Center, and today I'm going to review how to write great scholarship essays and also a couple ways to look for scholarships. All right, so again, we're going to review different types of scholarships, grants, and financial aid and how these differ, how to find Alliant-specific scholarships, how to write really great scholarship essays, and different resources that you can access, mainly online, to help you write good scholarship essays. So there's a couple different types of financial aid for school. So here you can see the definition for a scholarship. It's an award of financial aid for a student to further their education. Scholarships are awarded based upon various criteria, which usually reflect the values and purpose of the donor or founder of the award, and scholarship money is not required to be repaid. So that's the key here, is that scholarship money is given to you and it's not a loan, so you don't have to repay it. Different types of aid also include student loans, which many of us have. Also, we tend to get these student loans through the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, I believe. And then, of course, there's scholarships. There's also grants, which is also money that does not have to be paid back. This all occurs through student financial aid. There's also federal work study, which is something that you can request through your FAFSA application, and this is also free money that you do not have to return. And there's jobs on the Alliant campus through federal work study, and this can be research assistant, tutoring center, library assistants, things like that. Okay, so here is how you find scholarships through the My Alliant portal. So as you can see here, if you type in scholarship in the top right corner and click search, it will come up with the scholarships and it'll look something like this. And you go to explore scholarships, and you can also log in. The login is the same for your My Alliant. The scholarships tend to be due in the winter, somewhere between winter and spring, usually around February or March, so really look out for these. Also, some of the scholarships are on a rolling basis, so make sure you're always aware of the scholarships. There's many scholarships on this portal. Once you're exploring the scholarships, this is what they look like. For example, this year, most of the scholarships were due between April 20th and 30th at 5 p.m. And you can search on the left here by campus, by institution or foundation, and by which school. Then you make sure you really look at the eligibility criteria to make sure you're eligible. Look at the application process, what's included, like a CV, resume, or an essay. And then make sure, of course, that you know how much is awarded. For example, in this scholarship, it's $1,500 available, and there's 4 scholarships. So just really keeping these in mind. And I'd highly encourage you to apply to all the scholarships that you're eligible for through the My Alliant portal. Okay, now quickly reviewing scholarships versus grants. So you want both, and again, the key with scholarships and grants is that it's money that you do not have to pay back. And grant is one type of financial aid usually dispersed by the government. For example, the Pell Grant to low-income students or undergraduate students, or the Federal Supplement Educational Opportunity Grant. Scholarships are another form of financial aid used by corporations. They are also given by nonprofit organizations, schools, universities, of course, like Alliant, and they're also given by individuals. And scholarships may ask you to write an essay on a creative topic and may be based on things including academics, athletics, ethnicity, diversity, major, state, and so on. For example, on the My Alliant portal, some of the scholarships have to do with specific research that you may be doing, diversity factors, how you feel about the Alliant pillars, how do you feel about the mission statement, things like this. I would also encourage you to look for scholarships in San Diego in general and in Southern California in general, because you're probably eligible for more than you're aware of. This is other places to find scholarships that I just found online. So you can go to scholarships.com. You can go to san diego foundation.org/students/local scholarships. You can go to studentaid.ed.gov. There's grants and scholarships there. You can also go to gograd.org for scholarships. You can also go to studentloanhero.com. They also have some graduate scholarships on there as well. All right. And then also through My Alliant, if you type in grants and contracts in the search engine, you can also see here other outside opportunities that aren't offered through our school, but are offered through other institutions or other foundations. Okay, so now getting really to the nitty gritty of when you're writing that scholarship essay, here are some tips to really keep in mind when you're editing that essay. So, really read the instructions and make sure you understand them before you start writing. Often there's going to be a really specific word count. You want to make sure that you're not 2 words under that and not 2 words over that, but you exactly hit that word count. You want to make sure that if they're asking you to talk about 4 specific things, that you talk about those 4 specific things. And with the instructions too, they may ask you to provide a letter of recommendation or contact information for a certain person. So really make sure you do those things, because if you don't, you'll be automatically disqualified. Also, think about what you are going to write and organize your thoughts before you start writing. You can do this on your own and kind of write out your introduction, your main points, and your conclusion just in a couple words. You can also do this with a friend or family member, just kind of talk out what you want to say in the essay. This can be really helpful before you start writing. It can make it a lot less intimidating. Then you want to begin the writing process by writing a more substantial outline that really goes over the points that you're trying to make. Make sure your outline touches on every aspect required in the instructions, if not a little bit more so. So again, if they're asking you to talk about 4 specific pillars or 4 specific things, make sure your outline includes that and info under each of those 4 items. You want to write your essay by elaborating on each of the points in your outline. So that's the next stage. So let's say you had a sentence in your outline for each point. Then you want to really start elaborating on each of those sentences. You want to use very clear, concise, and simple language throughout your essay. Remember that the people reading these essays are going to be reading many of them. The more simple and clear your essay is, the more likely they are to be engaged and really understand what you're trying to say. State your accomplishments without coming across as if you're bragging. So again, remember that the person reading this is reading many of these, and you want to show that you're worthy of this scholarship, but you don't want to seem like you're bragging. So you need to find that fine line. And one way I think to do this well is to have a family member, a friend, or someone you trust read the essay and see how you come across in it. You also want to make sure your grammar and spelling are impeccable. You really and to do this, I would read it. One way to really help yourself is to read it out loud. You don't want it to sound like you're talking to someone. You want it to sound like a professional essay. And sometimes when we read it out loud, we can catch grammar and spelling mistakes that we can't catch when we're just reading it to ourselves. Also, I'd have multiple people edit the essay. That's even more likely to help you find all the different spelling and grammar issues. Also, read the question a few times and then read your essay a few times right after to make sure you addressed every point. Again, this is a very easy way that people get disqualified from getting a scholarship because they didn't answer the question or didn't answer one specific part of the question. And again, have someone with strong writing and editing skills proofread the essay before you submit. You can do that here at Alliant. Through the Writing Tutoring Center. You can also do this online through Brain4Use, which is another online tutoring center offered through Alliant. And below you can find the link of where I found all these writing tips if you want to see more. Here are some common errors that we see in essays in general, especially scholarship essays. So don't wing the essay. A lot of people think like, oh, I'll just do it the night before and it'll be fine. This isn't typically the case. Often the people who win the scholarship essays have really thought a lot about what they're writing. They've edited it multiple times. They've had multiple people look at it. So if you're planning on doing it a couple hours before, I'd suggest probably not applying to that scholarship and really prepping maybe a month beforehand to write a great essay. Also, don't just reuse essays. Of course, you can maybe reuse parts of essays, but if you just reuse the same essay over and over, you're likely not answering the prompt. So you really need to make sure that you're using a really great essay that really answers their prompt. Don't forget to check the details again, like word count, the prompt, grammar, and spelling. Don't spend money for applications. Some websites will say that you should pay money for a scholarship application, but don't do this. This is usually not a good place to be applying. Don't let time or boredom get in the way. I know in the past I haven't applied to certain scholarships because like I thought it was boring, or I thought time would get in the way, or didn't have enough time. But just remember how much you might be saving by getting the scholarship. And don't restate the prompt in the scholarship essay. Again, remember who's reading this and how they know what the prompt is, so you don't want to waste time by restating the prompt. Also, don't ignore who your audience is. Kind of keep in mind who may be listening or reading this essay and write it for them. Okay. Of course, don't use plagiarism or cheat or pretend that you're someone else. That will just get you automatically disqualified, or if you do win the scholarship and they find out, you will no longer have a scholarship. You don't want to ramble or complain in the scholarship essay. Remember your audience, they don't want to read an essay like that. And of course, don't turn it in late because then you won't get the scholarship. Okay, and now here's general writing tips again. I know it's kind of repetitive, but it's just things to super keep in mind when you're writing that great scholarship essay. So read everything very carefully. Start really small with that outline. You can start with even just a couple words. Then I want you to write maybe a sentence for each main point. Then brainstorm, really get creative, create that great outline before starting. Do multiple drafts, and then do final touches. If you break it down this way, I think it feels a lot more doable and a lot more like you're in control. Okay, and then just a couple further resources. I found a couple of videos on YouTube of people who've written great scholarship essays, and they have a few more tips for you, so I'd highly recommend looking at that. Also, that first article is 7 more steps to writing a winning scholarship essay. So if you're feeling intimidated, definitely go out there, look at these videos, look at the steps to writing a winning essay, review this PowerPoint. And again, I'd really encourage you to apply to as many scholarships as possible, and as many scholarships that you're eligible to apply for, because you can't win them unless you apply. So go out there, be great, and get some scholarships. All right, bye. Thank you for listening.